After being out running errands, as soon as I get back in the house, I like to sit down. I'll say, thank you, God, for getting me back home safe. Going out, coming back in. Thank you for getting me back safe. It is a blessing to make it back home safe. You guys have no idea with everything going on in the world. You know, and I know y'all watch the news, you scroll on social media. There's so much racial tension. There's road rage, people fighting at graduations, arguments escalating into something fatal over nothing. You know, people got to prove just how tough they are. You know, it's like, who cares that I got a family at home waiting on me? Let me just, let me not walk away. Let me just keep running my mouth until something bad happens. You know, sometimes the greatest display of strength you can show is your ability to stay quiet, walk away, get your butt back in your house, and just live to see another day. You know, I saw a video on the news. It was two men. They got into like this road rage situation. You know, one guy was already triggered, and it was like he was looking for a reason to explode. And the other guy, with his family in the car, you know, instead of him just taking the tag number or calling the police, you know, keeping his family safe, you know, he decided to chase the guy down to prove a point. And then a fight broke out and lives were almost lost. You know, and for what? You know, to be right, to win an argument with a stranger you'll never see again. You know, you have a husband, you have a wife, little kids waiting for you. You don't get the luxury of acting out because your ego is bruised. You know, those kids need their mama or their dad in one piece. Not in jail, not in the hospital, not in the ground. You know, you don't know who has a weapon when you're out and about. You don't know what kind of trauma the other person is carrying. You know, you don't owe it to anyone to prove how tough you are. Your peace is your power. And just to remind you, you know, God handles things a whole lot better than we ever could. You know, I recently had a dream where a woman that I know, she just was relentlessly attacking me with lies, with gossip. You know, the other person wanted me to get, I guess, loud, argue back. She wanted me to sink to her level. And the thing is, you know, when you live in your peace and you mind in your business, this actually triggers people. You know, how you carry yourself, the way you show up, you know, the fact that you're not caught up in the chaos, it bothers people who are miserable. You know, they want you to turn into them, to look like the bad guy so they can keep playing the saint. The enemy has been working overtime, and I believe that dream was like a warning for so many of us. You know, I think about our youth. They are growing up in an environment where being popular or tough is being equated with violence. You know, we have to teach them that there is no shame in walking away. There is no shame in calling the police when you feel threatened. You know, there's nothing cool about losing your life or your freedom over a moment of pride. You know, I know it's hard. I know y'all are tired. I know some people go home to their families where conflict is the norm. And, you know, they're not being taught that peace is an option. But you can break that cycle. You can make it a goal every time you step out of your house to step back into it safe. Just keep your mouth shut. Somebody want to break in line at the grocery store, just let them. You don't know what's going on in their world. You know, don't worry about proving a point. Don't worry about being the tough one. Be the smart one. You know, be the one who protects their peace and chooses to live another day. Just keep your mouth shut, keep your head on a swivel, and get home to your family. And that's true strength. And that is the win.